Today we're crocheting this flower keychain. It's about 6.5 centimeters wide and it only uses 2 different stitches, both of which I'll teach you how to do. For the free written pattern, you can go to vivcrochets.com or click the link in the description box below. And if you do enjoy this tutorial, please leave a like or comment to let me know. Thanks so much, and let's get into the materials. For this project, I used less than 10 grams of yarn, and you can use any yarn you want. I just used Red Heart Super Saver in the color Gold and Aran. And this is a medium weight yarn, and it's just 100% acrylic, but again, any yarn will work. And I'll also be using a 5mm hook, some scissors, and a yarn needle. And then also, if you want to turn it into a keychain, you'll need a keychain ring and clasp. And everything will be linked in the description. Before we begin the tutorial, let's talk about FOREO, the partner for today's video. This is the FAQ 202 by FOREO. It's a silicone LED face mask with 8 different wavelengths, including NIR. This is a lightweight wireless mask that was made to mold into any face shape and can help you tackle different skin concerns, such as smoother, softer, brighter skin, a more even skin tone, less redness, which is what I'm trying to target, and many, many more. You can control the mask with this very easy to use universal button, and you can cycle through the different wavelengths. And if you don't want to use the button, you can also use the app to control your device. And my favorite thing about the app are the pre-programmed treatments that you can choose from. And they cycle through the different wavelengths for different amounts of time depending on the treatment that you choose. And it's so easy to just put on the mask, select a treatment, and then go on about your day. And you don't have to worry about selecting which specific wavelength or keeping track of the time that you have it on. So that's a really great feature in the app. And FOREO is currently celebrating their birthday, and they have a lot of amazing deals for their products. Use my code VIV35 for 35% off all of their products. You can even stack this coupon with their other birthday offers to get an even better deal. So if you're interested, click on the link in the description box below, and don't forget to use my code VIV35. Thank you so much to FOREO for partnering with me for this video, and let's get back to the tutorial. So first we're going to start with the center of the flower. So take that color yarn, I just have the gold, and we're going to make a magic ring. And to make a magic ring, place the yarn over your hand with the tail end at the bottom. Then grab the yarn with your thumb, and make sure you have a little tail on the end under your thumb. Then grab the yarn from the top, wrap it around 2 fingers to form an X, and then hold it with your pinky. Then take your hook, go under this one side of the X, then over, grab the other side, and pull it through. Then you're going to take your thumb and your first finger on your right hand and grab this entire thing and pull it off of your fingers. And make sure your tail end doesn't go through this ring. And here is our magic ring, and you can make it a little bit easier to work with by pulling on the tail to just close the hole a little bit. So now it's a little smaller and a little easier to work with. And now we can start our first round, and to start this round we're going to chain 2. And to chain, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Again, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. So there are our 2 chains. And now we're going to start working into this ring. And in this ring, we're going to do 10 double crochets. And to do a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull through, and you should have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And there's our first double crochet. Again, to do a double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So there are our first 2 double crochets, and we're going to keep going until we have a total of 10 double crochets. And as you're working, your tail might get really short, so just tighten it and make sure it doesn't go through the ring. And once you've done your 10 double crochets, and you can count them using these V's at the top, or by counting these posts. And once we're done, we're going to pull on this tail to close the ring. And then we're going to finish this round by slip stitching to the first double crochet that we made. So that's going to be over here, and we're going to look for the first stitch that we made. And here you can see the chain 2 that we did in the very beginning, and then to the left of it is our very first double crochet. And at the top you can see a V. We're going to go under that V, and then to do a slip stitch, we're going to yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on our hook and tighten. And now we're done with this yarn, so we can fasten off. So let's cut our yarn, and it doesn't have to be too long. And then pull through with our hook. And here is the center of the flower. And now we're going to take the flower color yarn, and I just have an off-white color, and we're going to attach it to any stitch on here. And to attach the yarn, we're just going to insert a hook into any of these V's around the outside. So right next to where we fasten off right here, let's just insert a hook into the stitch to the left of it. So just under that V, and then take your yarn and loop it onto your hook like this, and then pull it through that stitch just until your hook comes through, and then we'll flip it over and we can tie these tail ends together. So this tail from the white yarn and this yellow tail we fastened off earlier, we can tie them together to secure both of them. And make sure you double knot it. And now our white yarn is attached, and we can start on round 2. And to start round 2, we're going to chain 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. First, we're going to do a treble crochet into the first stitch of the round, which is that stitch we attached our yarn to. And to do a treble crochet, we're going to yarn over 2 times. So 1 and 2. Then insert your hook into the stitch we attached our yarn to. So under that V, then yarn over, pull through, and you should have a total of 4 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So there is our first treble crochet. And we're going to do another treble crochet into that same stitch. So again, yarn over 2 times, insert your hook back into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 2 treble crochets into that stitch, and we're going to keep adding treble crochets into the stitch until we have a total of 5. So there's 2, and let's add 3 more to get to 5. And there's 3. 4. 5. So here we have our 5 treble crochets into that first stitch. And now we're going to make it into the popcorn stitch. And to do that, we're going to pull on our hook and pull up a loop. And then we're going to take our left index finger and we're going to insert our finger into this loop and then take our hook out. So we're going to hold on to the loop with our finger. And then we're going to insert a hook into the very first treble crochet that we made, which is the one all the way on the right. This one here with that V right here. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 V's. Insert your hook into that very first stitch, like that. And then insert your hook into the loop that's on our finger. And then we can take our finger out and then pull on this yarn to tighten the loop. And then we're going to pull through the first stitch that we made. Like that. And now we have this popcorn stitch. And to finish it, we're going to chain 1. So here is our very first popcorn stitch, or our first petal, and we're going to do a petal into every single stitch. So now let's move on to the next stitch. And you can sort of push this petal over to the right because it might be hiding a stitch right next to it. So this next V right here is going to be the next stitch that we work into. And we're going to do the same thing we did here, where we put 5 treble crochets into the next stitch. So yarn over twice and insert your hook under the V of that next stitch. And we're going to complete our treble crochet. And we'll keep working treble crochets into that stitch until we have a total of 5. So now I have 5 treble crochets into this stitch, this one right here, and we're going to do the same thing we did here. We're going to pull on our hook to open this loop, insert our finger into that loop, take our hook out, and then we're going to find the first treble crochet that we made into this stitch. And you can see there's this space here between our first popcorn stitch and our next one. So this treble crochet is our very first one into here. Again, you can also count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and go into that stitch all the way on the right side. And then into the loop on our finger, remove our finger, tighten the loop around our hook, and pull through the first stitch. And then chain 1. And there is our second popcorn stitch, or our second petal. And we're going to move on to the next stitch and do the same thing. Again, push this popcorn stitch over to the right so you don't miss the next stitch. This one right here, we're going to do 5 treble crochets. And for this one, I'm going to work a little bit faster. Now we have our 5 treble crochets into this one stitch. We're going to remove our hook and place a loop onto our finger. Go into the stitch all the way on the right side, the first one that we made, and then into the loop on our finger. Tighten the loop. Pull through the first stitch that we made. And then chain 1. And there's our third popcorn stitch or petal. And we're going to continue working around and repeating that same thing into each of these stitches. And by the end, you should have a total of 10 of these popcorn stitches. So once you've gone all the way around and done a popcorn stitch into every stitch, you should have a total of 10 of these popcorn stitches. And after our final one, after you chain one, we're going to slip stitch to the first one that we made to sort of attach them together, because you can see there's like a space between them. So on the back of this stitch, if you turn it around like that, so here is the first popcorn stitch that we made, and you can see this V here. This is the chain we made after we made our first popcorn stitch. So we're actually going to insert a hook into this space to the right of it, right here. So insert your hook into that space. And then yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and tighten it. And that's our slip stitch to finish the round. And now we're going to fasten off by cutting our yarn and pulling through with our hook. And there is our second round. And now we're going to do the center for the back of the flower. And this will also hide all of our loose ends. So we're going to take our yellow yarn again, and we're going to make an identical center. So let's go over that really quickly. We're going to make a magic ring. Again, place the yarn on your hand, hold the yarn with your thumb, grab it from the top, wrap it around 2 fingers to form an X, then take your hook and go under one side of the X, and then over, grab the other side, pull it through, then pull this off your fingers. And here's our magic ring. And again, we're going to just pull on the tail to tighten it a little bit. And we're going to chain 2 and do 10 double crochets into the ring. And once you're done with your 10 double crochets, we're going to pull on this tail to tighten the center. And we're going to slip stitch to the first stitch that we made over here. And we're just going to cut off your yarn, but we are going to cut it off a little bit longer. So we're going to make sure we have enough to sew this onto the first piece that we have. So I like to just have twice the length we're sewing. And that's about 10 inches or 25 centimeters. And cut your yarn. Pull through with our hook. And now we're going to sew this piece to the back of this piece. First we'll take our yarn needle and we're going to thread this extra long loose end we left into our yarn needle. And then taking the flower, we're going to stuff all of our loose ends into the flower. Except for this one that we left at the very end. And then we're going to insert our yarn needle into the stitch just to the left of where we fasten off with this white yarn. So if you look around here, these V's, this one right here, then there's this one, and we're going to be attaching each stitch on this center to those V's. So the first one to the left of where we fasten off is right here. So we're going to go from the outside towards the inside of the flower, and then pick up the center, and we're going to go into that stitch to the left of where our yarn is coming out. So this one right here, So under that V, like that. So our yarn needle goes through that first stitch after we fastened off here, and then through that first stitch after here. Then pull the yarn through and make sure it doesn't catch around the petals. Like that. And then those stitches attach together, and we're going to move on to the next 2 stitches to attach together. So after this V here in the white, we're going to look for the next V, which is right here. We're going to go under that, and then in the flower center, we're going to look for the next stitch after this one, which is this one, and we'll go under that stitch as well, and then pull the yarn through. And again, make sure it doesn't catch, and pull it tight. And then we'll move on again. Through the white, there's this next V here, and then the next stitch around the flower center, and pull the yarn through. And we're just going to continue going around, attaching each stitch of the flower to each stitch of the flower center. And before you finish sewing, make sure that you take the yarn from the center, from the magic ring. So this one and then also this one, you can see the hole has opened up a little bit. We're going to make sure that we tighten it so the hole is completely closed. And then for this one too, tighten it so the hole is closed. And then we're going to tie them together to make sure that it doesn't open back up. So that should secure them, and then we can just tuck those ends back inside and continue sewing. And you should have exactly 10 stitches from the white and then 10 stitches in the yellow. Pull everything tight and it should be attached like that. And if it looks good, we can tie a knot with this white yarn that we left sticking out. So just double knot them together. And make sure you pull tight, but not too tight that it scrunches. And make sure to do a double knot. And finally, we're going to pull these 2 loose ends into the inside of the flower. So you can use your yarn needle or your hook. Just go in from the opposite side and then stick your hook out next to where your knot is. So right here. Then loop the ends of these 2 onto your hook and pull it through. And then pull it until it gets pulled all the way in, but again, not too tight. And then we can just trim these off. And they're hidden inside. And here is our flower. And lastly, we just need to attach our keyring and our keychain clasp. So first I'll attach the keyring, and you can attach it anywhere you want. I'll just attach it between 2 petals. So just any 2 petals, I'm going to separate them like this. And I'm going to attach the keyring to both sides of the yellow. So I'll attach it to this yellow and then through this yellow here. and that might be hard using just your nails and fingers. So I do have pliers that I'm going to use to hold it open. But if you don't have pliers, you can use tweezers. And if you don't have either, or you just want to make this part easier, you can just go through one side of the yellow. It'll just be a little bit uneven, but not noticeable if you have the keychain hooked onto something. So I'm just going to open up the keyring and then insert the pliers in between. So I have my keyring like this. See, it's open on the bottom. And I'm going to go through the yellow on one side and then through the yellow on the other side. So just through the yellow from the back and then through the next one. And I'll just take the pliers out and pull it through. And it can be a little bit tricky, but just try your best to get through both layers. And again, if you can't, just through one is fine. And I haven't pulled my keyring all the way through, so it is held open a little bit from the yarn. So at this point, I'll just take my keychain clasp and put that through the keyring as well and finish spinning it around. And now it's attached. And then you can also push these two petals closer together. And our flower keychain is finished. Here's the front. And here's the back. That's all for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And shout out to channel members Brasins, Jamon, Amarachi, Dylan, Mai, Kayla, Taylor, Casey, Allison, Eilish, Nadine, Joy, and Stacy. You can become a member of this channel and have these little yarn ball badges next to your name whenever you comment, and other perks such as member shoutouts, early access to new videos, discount codes from my Etsy, help with any of my patterns, and connecting on social media. Thank you again to all my channel members, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.